a starting point, especially when sitting with you, and I know how this mind really is very fast in its actions and its evaluation. So I'm very looking forward to having this open dialogue of discussion more than just an interview, which I would hope we can share together for all our participants here. And I think what's going to be a very interesting side of today's interview is for all of us to know more about you as a person. You've started, you've been through lots of different stages in your journey in the private sector, and how does that journey and that experience, and share with us the different experience, please, if you allow me, that you witnesses, impact today your new role as a minister?
Okay, so whatever I will say, there's a personal bias to it, by design. So first of all, I did talk maybe during my speech around people, and I did talk about how important is to invest in people, and I have to say I've been very fortunate and very lucky to actually to spend all of my professional career in a multinational company, and I can say the name because it's not a hidden secret, right? With SMB and then Schlumberger at the time when I started, and maybe what I would say is maybe around the fact that the values around people and the values around technology have always been ingrained right in me from working in SMB. And I have to say that I've been very blessed and very lucky to also have had the opportunity to have had a very diverse career, right? And this is also something which for me is important, and this is why I also tell a lot to some members of our team that part of having experience in different parts of any organization brings value. Some of this value you realize it during the time, some other times you realize the value later on, but there is a skill to be learned, there is knowledge to be acquired, and there is also an appreciation for how everybody in an organization plays a role. It doesn't matter what their title is, or it doesn't matter what the perceived importance of the role or of the place of where this is taking place, but that everybody in an organization plays a critical role for the success of that organization. And this is why, for me, I'm a firm believer that everyone, right, operating in the field, supporting, field operations, supporting, things which are happening, and anywhere in the organization is important. And also, it is, for me, it has always helped me to realize that, again, I say it, when I say that your success is our success and so forth, it's the same thing, whenever in any organization, anybody's success actually can only stem from the success of their teams and of making sure that you foster an environment where everybody can give their full potential and to be able to unlock the value that they have and unlock value for their shareholders. So for that, I'm really grateful, really, for the exposure that I've had, and the amazing people, amazing mentors, both within the company but also within the sector. Because again, our sector is really also very unique, right? And it's a sector which really promotes the spirit of collaboration, partnership, ability to learn, ability to contribute. And it's up to all of us to enable that to happen everywhere in the organization.
Your Excellency, how many hours do you sleep?
but Thursday night, very little. What I'll say is it's like everybody actually around the room. I mean, this is also another part. Is I'm a firm believer that in our, again, everybody is working extremely hard. I mean, again, we are all going through very challenging time. And for me, I would be foolish to think, that I'm working, more than anyone else. Actually, on the contrary, I believe that we are all, doing our best in a very, very challenging environment, and not because it's the job, but I also have a feeling that across our sector, I wanted to say everyone, but I'll use the word, I believe that the majority is really doing that out of sense of duty of care, and because they believe that it is the right thing to do. And in times of challenges, it requires more effort from everyone, again, and to be able to, unlock the potential for the shareholders, and then, decrease, the different, let's say, pressures, that, all the different people in this room do face. This is why I'm also very appreciative, and I always acknowledge the amount of pressure that all our partners here are also facing. Right? I believe everyone has a shareholder to account to, and that those discussions, if you don't care, right, for what you're doing, then lose purpose. But those discussions, I believe, and the reason we're all here is that we believe, it is worthwhile, or, I call it going the extra mile, because it's so easy to say, khalas, why should I care? But on the contrary, I think it's why the resilience and the care of everyone is really something to be respected, appreciated, and for everyone, in the room, and everyone who's not in the room but part of our, ecosystem and sector, really deserves a huge thank actually to them. So thank you once again to everyone.
Your Excellency, during your opening speech today, I have to say, and I'm sure everybody here will share the same outcome that we got from your speech, is that you discussed the 6 different elements that the industry, that you see how the industry could work on, how to build on for a better sustainable future for not only the sector but for also the stakeholders. And you actually elaborated it in a very systematic format, which shows that how you are a believer of what you're talking about, and actually you put it at a point where you see that this is going to happen. So it was very firm in your message showing that. But out of that big plan that you have for the industry, what's your main short-term targets that you want to achieve out of those main 6 elements?
My short-term targets are very easy. I want to make sure all our partners are paid their monthly dues. I want to make sure that we are taking collaborative, active steps to increase, production, and that we are working together to unlock what could be the next potential for production, and hence, the enhancement exploration. For me, if we do these 3 things, the rest will come, because the rest is a byproduct of making sure that we have a sustainable ecosystem to ensure that more production comes in, that everyone can benefit more from incentive mechanisms, that actual costs go down for our partners, that we can really, unlock, to start having different conversations. I mean, for me, once we achieve those first 3, then we can spend our collective time into many more, let's say, discussions, which are not tactical for today, but are really strategic, both for the shareholders for a longer period of time. And also to be able to relieve pressure, because, by achieving those 3 first priorities, a lot of the pressure that everyone here in the room feels will be dissipated. When you dissipate that, then you enable different types of conversations, even within the companies, right? Even within the companies, mood about operation, mood about growth, and mood about investments. Success breeds success, and increased production leads to further increase in production. Success in exploration leads more exploration. The more the activity grows, the more the people who are working, have further kind of reassurance of the future potential of the sector. There is more room to be able to do more things for our people in the sector across the organization and so on. So, to summarize, focus on our partners, making sure that we can really kind of help them, in terms of their monthly activities, making sure that we work together with our partners to increase production and accelerate, exploration, and to be able to really kind of work collaboratively, right, as well.
And I totally agree with the point of working collaboratively, as you mentioned, and working with the partners in boosting production. But would you also be able to elaborate on how you would see we would also be able to attract further investments, not only from existing stakeholders, but how would you, with your regional cooperation, with the existing partnership with our existing stakeholders, how would we attract more investments into Egypt's oil and gas industry?
So I think for me, and again, for all of us, to attract investment, into Egypt is beneficial for everyone. And because when you attract investment, you all of a sudden actually reduce the cost of operation also for everyone. And at the same time, we've been really taking active steps in terms of for our existing partners to make sure that we work with them to enable them to succeed in their existing investments, but also in terms of offering expansion capabilities, whether through these open blocks or whether through the bid rounds, to enable them to decrease the overall portfolio cost, and hence future cost per barrel or future cost per SCAF. And also by working with the relevant, let's say, regional partners, which also impact, again, our existing partners, to be able to unlock their potential in the region, for their benefit. The other part is how do we attract new investors, right, into the sector. And for this one, we are tackling also two different, let's say, populations. So part of it was how we can also attract further investment from Egyptian, investors who actually have the funds, have the investment, skill set, and have already investments in many other sectors, very successful both in Egypt and outside of Egypt, but maybe not in the oil and gas. So how we can open up, that chapter, and how we can open up, let's say, this black box around, investing into the oil and gas to Egyptian, investors to be able to unlock that potential. For us, it does two things. It helps us to attract further investment, but then it also helps in terms of what I've been calling, around our first priority, which is to increase production and so forth. So this is why the session that we've had on the 30th of September with existing Egyptian investors, combined with, let's say, major business, men and women, Egyptian, who have major assets in other businesses, whether in Egypt or outside, combined with, again, the support of who can help them succeed. So again, this is why collaboration is important. If you look at the team from EOG, in terms of showing them what investment opportunities exist, but also for the collaboration, in the room with the service companies, right, who are, some of them are here in the room of others, who can then help them deliver, right, in terms on how to unlock that investment and so forth, then makes it easier, right, for them. And this is why I'll also be very, very transparent. Actually, in the room, we also had members of the parliament. They were also in the room, and we also had the chief of the Energy Committee of the Parliament and the Chief of the Industry Committee, actually, of the Parliament, and they're both, and their team's very important because the Parliament is very important for us. Should we require, regulatory framework changes and so forth, beyond what we already did, which does not require regulatory parliamentary changes, then we can leverage really their support to be able to, again, make a investment attraction in the sector easier, not only for Egyptian investors, but for everyone, right, and so forth. So I kind of initially expected, there would be one or two interested parties and so forth, but really to our very positive surprise, right? I mean, we had several actually who are, very interested and who've already started taking steps towards that. So, you've seen the public, let's say, steps of MOUs signed, with them maybe a few weeks ago, and there is further ongoing discussions, engagements in terms of then how to move on to the next step. And we have further also actually very interested investors who are very interested, who are also currently working as well, into this. And then last but not least is how we can also help, how we can also attract other investors from also outside of Egypt into the sector. And this is why, again, the support from our existing partners is also very important, because our partners are very different. And then some partners, they want to be operators, some partners actually want to be partners in assets. And that's the same with other investors who are today not in Egypt, but who also could come to Egypt and who are actually interested to come to Egypt, but maybe not as an operator, but to partner with some of our existing partners, right, in some of the blocks, whether existing or future blocks, to also be able to kind of gain that experience and so forth, to then be able to have their own operations and so forth. So I think it's a combination, right, of aspects. And again, I would also kindly ask everyone in the room, right, should you know of any other partners who would be interested to come to, to Egypt, to let us know. And again, our full team will be there to help and support them of how we can make that entry into the oil and gas sector in Egypt as easy, as smooth as possible and so forth.
Excellent, Your Excellency. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And how's the gas supply issue going? Are we at a good stage right now? Do you think with the strategy we're working on, are we going to be going into another electricity cut, or do you think this is not going to happen?
So this was again part of the part of how we are working in a very collaborative way with the Ministry of Electricity and Renewable. And again, I say it a lot, but I genuinely mean it also a lot. And I will say that the steps taken by my counterpart, Minister of Electricity and Renewable, Mahmoud Esma, is actually evolved from signing MOUs to they're actually signing contracts for renewable energy projects, right? So I just want to clarify. So every, let's say, contract signed in the renewable energy, for me is a very, very positive sign. And those contracts, and this was part of our meeting this morning, is that those, let's say, now are more of an operational execution, aspects that will require, different, stages along the years. But between now and 2030, the plan is there, the contracts are there, and it's more about the execution parts. And so all of that becomes very positive because it helps unlock the gas that goes into powering the electricity sector, and hence that frees up gas to be able to be used for exports and so forth. But more importantly is that also during that same time, and this is why I really want to give also credit and appreciation to our partners, the activity that is taking place in terms of exploration in the Mediterranean and onshore for gas is also something which is very promising, and this is why For me, I went recently to Chevron, right, with our partners in Chevron, for their exploration well, Hunger 1. Next month in December, ExxonMobil will also be starting, exploration activity. Many of our partners are also, so for me, the acceleration of actual exploration is very important. And it's also a very positive sign, because any exploration activity, number one, adds data for all the different models, right, for the region to be able to accelerate further investment decisions, reduce, risks in further exploration, but they also open up the opportunities of unlocking what could be the next zone, or what could be the next major fields and so forth. And for that, you cannot do that unless you physically explore and physically drill wells. Right? And we also know that the outcome is also not immediate. Right? I mean, the outcome between having, let's say, a discovery and gas into the network, we know it is not the next day. Right? But what we also know in Egypt, and with the collaboration with our partners, is that we all have the capability to do that in a record time if we all work together to do that. We did that, before in Zor, and we can do that, again tomorrow with any major discoveries and so forth. But the other aspect is I'm also very happy with the exploration activity happening on land, also for gas, because that also enables another chapter to be opened, and with an accelerated, let's say, pathway, right, to the network. So that is also very, very important. And then I also want to maybe also give, also highlight to technology, the role of technology in exploration. And exploration is not only in frontier fields, or it's not only in, in parts of the Mediterranean that we didn't work before, but even the exploration activity that is taking place in the Gulf of Suez, right, with technology, with vision, bottom type of seismic and new seismic data and so forth, it can completely reverse, the picture of what the potential of the Gulf of Suez would look like. The Gulf of Suez, to many in the room would know, it was like 600,000 barrels, at a certain point in time in history. Today, it is much less than that. But even if you combine whatever is happening, and if I call it 100,000, in the Gulf of Suez, for me, the subsurface structure of the Gulf of Suez is very complex. So by using technology to unlock really, or to demystify the complexity of the subsurface structures, then that can really help companies operating in the Gulf of Suez to have better visibility, lower down the risk of of exploration, and be able to drill with higher success rate, and unlock actually a new potential for the Gulf of Suez. So the role of technology is very important. Exploration on land is very important. Exploration in the Mediterranean is very important, and even exploration in the Red Sea is very important, right? And I'll also talk about the elephant in the waters. So that's not the elephant in the room, but the elephant in the water, which is around the Red Sea. A lot of exploration is taking place, right, in the Mediterranean. And if you look in terms of the Red Sea, what about the Red Sea? For me, the Red Sea is very important, but I'm also a very pragmatic person. The Red Sea is more frontier. So also with our partner, this is different, kind of, investment profile today and so forth. So again, for me, there's a big focus to ensure that we unlock the potential with our partners in the Mediterranean, on land, and so forth. And the Red Sea is still a very important area for us to be able to unlock in terms from also the processing and from the experience of whatever is existing today, and to further attract investment. But again, you will not find me today doing promotion on the Red Sea. I just want to mention that it is not forgotten. And again, from a capital allocation perspective, I realize that any shareholder today would want to focus first the capital, deployment, where there is lower risk, higher return, and also, with a sustainable ability to also get, their receivables addressed. So, it's kind of a very practical story. And in parallel, we will continue kind of looking in terms of what could be done on the Red Sea, maybe in different ways.
Thank you, Excellency. And I think you highlighted a very important point, which is the impact of technology in our industry and how this is important. And I think keeping our industry updated with the value of technology and how it can actually break the barriers of our opportunities is one of the aspects that I'm sure will make a huge difference. And continuing on that same aspect of technology, operational efficiency, time, and everything, let's talk a bit about digitalization. Because digitalization, and I know Your Excellency, you played a huge role during your time here in Egypt as SME with the EOG platform, and then you moved to Houston, which was part of also your responsibility. The importance of digitalization in our industry and the importance of artificial intelligence in our industry. How can that help in boosting production? How can that help in exploring for untapped opportunities? And how can that help also in attracting more investments?
So digital is very, very important. But digital has several elements of it. Digital depends on data, but it depends, above all, of really understanding what process you're trying to enable, and really in terms of making sure that your investment in digital covers the value chain to unlock its value. So it's why when I look at our sector, I'll give the example of the Egypt Upstream Gateway. The Egypt Upstream Gateway is digital. Part of why today Egypt Upstream Gateway, there is value being generated from it for the country in terms of being able to, attract investment. It's because it is part of the general process of workflow, of data gathering, of data enhancement, value enhancement, right, through processing and so forth, but also part of the workflow of how the government is actually issuing bid rounds and putting to the world investment opportunities to be able to be unlocked. So hence you have all the different elements are there, right? You have the data, you have the process, you have the business driver behind it and it's integrated. So when I talked about the example of attracting Egyptian investors, who are not in the oil and gas, I can tell you that this would not have been possible unless we had that digital enablement being present and so forth, right? And again, in terms of the partnerships to make that happen. If you look at digital in terms on increase of production, I'm a firm believer on that, and we have many members, right, of partners in the room, right, and Dragon Oil is doing a lot of things on digital front. Here we have many of our partners are doing a lot of initiatives on digital, which if digital is combined with data, with the process, and what is the use cases that we're trying to enable and to unlock, then the sky is the limit. So that's why when I go to the first priority of focus for us to increase production, that actually digital can help us maximize production from existing producing fields, but also digital and AI also helps us in actually de-risking investment into exploration and de-risking as well exploration activities as well. So, for me, I will use the opportunity again of today of asking everyone that from the current workshops and for future engagements is to challenge us could be all of us, or it could be the ministry, or it could be GPC, or it could be, it could be a collective parties in the room, but challenge us to really look at where digital has unlocked value and can unlock value. What is it that we need to do to industrialize it, to unlock value across the value chain. And I'll use the example of, I mentioned about energy efficiency. Digital is also not free. So digital comes at a cost. And this is why it is okay to invest in cost. So it's why in digital, and it's why I also want to re-emphasize that when we look at yearly plans, for me, I firmly believe that it's important to factor in, investment in digital, but I would rather this investment is not in a discrete project, but it's actually investment in terms on how you get digital as part of the workflow within the company X, or workflow across group of companies, or workflow across the sector in a coordinated manner that will unlock further value.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I have my final question for today. And this question is a multiple choice question. So you don't have to choose one of the 4 options. After almost 5 months being appointed as the minister, how do you feel about the industry? Are you excited, optimistic, confident? None of the above.
No, I am genuinely very optimistic. And I can tell you, I am genuinely very optimistic. And I'm genuinely very optimistic for very few very tangible points. Do we have the subsurface potential? We have it. All of us know it. It's why we're here in the room. So that's a very, very big plus. Do we have the collaboration and so forth in terms of having the right companies, the right people, the right talent pool? We have it. I have no doubt in my mind, and every day, that I get to meet new people and so forth, I am even much more optimistic and so forth. And then when you look in terms on the political will, right? And, is it there? And is the coordination between the different members? Because again, you need collaboration. I say it all the time. So do we have this political will, this collaboration between the different members, right, of the cabinet, for the sector to succeed? I can guarantee to you is there. This morning meeting is a proof. If you look at all the previous meetings, right, that you see me, being involved in and so forth, I see it. I feel it every day. Some of these meetings are nicer than others because, again, we have hard discussions and we have honest discussions and we go through, what do we need to do and so forth. But it's there, right? So if you look at also the regional collaboration, to be able to unlock that potential, do I see it, do I feel it? I feel it and it's there. Again, for me in ADIPEC, for example, one of the things, I was so happy, George was on the first row, and he was taking the photos for me speaking in the opening ceremony. In my mind, I didn't ask him to take photos, whatever, but he was taking photos. He said to me, Jim Montez, wasn't happy that his photos of George Manassas, Minister of Energy, were better than his. But the spirit that we're in this together is there, right? And again, amongst all of us. So I know it's very challenging. I know we are in a challenging time. Maybe what I really want to encourage all of us is to kind of stand by each other as we're going through this unlocking thing, because it's there. It's kind of it's like when you're planting a tree. There's a seed. So I know we're not starting from scratch as a sector, but there's a lot of ongoing things which will give this sustainable, really kind of positive future for I can see. So to answer your question, unquestionably very optimistic and very thankful for everyone in the room and for all our partners, right, for sticking together to make that a reality together.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and I think we are all very optimistic also with your vision and your plan forward, and I think we all see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe we get a bit more sleep than you do, because we're here to support you. I think us as an industry, all of us, and ending our interview today, we had to take this chance, and on behalf of the Egypt Oil and Gas Committee, Egypt Oil and Gas, we wanted to congratulate you with a small gesture of appreciation and wish you all the best of luck in your new journey. And we're here to support. This is something small from Egypt Oil and Gas.
Thank you very much.